Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof, our weekly Friday broadcast. We have some fantastic racing coming up ahead from Newmarket and Market Rasen. Maybe not as good as today's racing, but we were spoiled a little bit on that front. But we still have the Cambridgeshire meeting that climaxes today. Michael will be very happy I said that instead of peak. Adam Webb and Callum Medell join me on the panel tonight. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah.
I'm just had disappointment from someone here. I have to mention something and blow my own trumpet. And I'm sure Adam knows what I'm going to do.
Oh no.
Sure, I know what you're going to do.
We said, it's a milestone for On the Other Hoof.
It's just for you, not us.
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
You, not us. You.
Hey, I'm a team player, unlike you. If you don't want to be a part of this team, then whatever, you know.
Well, we are a team, but it's oh.
Well, I'm willing to say someone from On the Other Hoof has gone a whole month without napping a loser.
Yeah, well done, Luke. Mecca's agent was very impressive.
I wasn't saying any names. I was just saying someone from On the Other Hoof.
And 3 guesses of who that person is.
It is me, no. But it's here. I thought you'd be happy for me, Adam. Anyway, we'll move on to the racing today. The first we're going to be covering is the 145 at Market Rasen, which is a juvenile hurdle, and it's not the most enticing of races, but it's been won by some nice sorts in the past, including Royal Irish Hussar last season. Barazan also won it, and Callum informed me that Catchit won it a few years ago. So it's got a decent little roll of honour on it, but I can't say I'd see too many of them tomorrow make it up into sort of triumph and champion hurdle horses. Adam, we'll throw you to the fire in this first one.
Well, juvenile, I'm surprised it's at John Channel 4, although it is a class 2 and we have to have some good winners of it. I'm going to say watch out if there's any market support for David Pipe runner Unanimate. I can't even say it. If there's any market support for that, that will be significant. Horse coming over from France, owned by Simon Minier. It would probably be an interesting contender, but obviously the form pick would be Goodbye Dancer, who has shown some good juvenile form already this season. Beat Sindar's Man at Newton Abbott last time out, and Sindar's Man came out and won, I think it was either yesterday or the day before at Perth. So the form is beginning to have a solid look to it, and I think that he should be winning this. Not a race to get involved in monetary, betting wise, even punditing wise. Yeah, even that as well. Actually, if we're quite honest.
You'd be the biggest hypocrite in the world after talking about the race.
Yeah, it's not a betting race.
Yeah, I agree with that. I saw Goodbye Dancer at Newton Abbott or via at the races, but I wasn't overly impressed. It doesn't take the best of horses to be winning this kind of race, but will have to step up on that and has to give weight to Full Day, who I haven't been impressed with, but I've liked his attitude of going by winning at Newton Abbott and Sedgefield. So I'd give a tentative vote to Full Day of Brian Ellison's and Danny Cook. But as Adam said, it's not a race to get involved with monetary-wise, and I'm sure Callum's going to issue them sentiments.
Oh yeah, without doubt. Like I said, there's been a fair roll of honour, but there's also been some pretty modest horses win this. It looks a fair race, to be honest, for the time of year for a jumps race. The ground is pretty decent. It's definitely the best juvenile race so far this season. I think the favourite deserves to be favourite. He's done very much done nothing wrong, and his form's been boosted. And it's just between him and I think the David Pipe horse, who comes over from France, showed some fair form in France. Last time at listed level ran an okay race behind a decent horse called Mr. Pomeroy, and the sire has done okay in his belated start to his jumps campaign. He had Kentucky Hyden last year for the same owners, so maybe he probably wants a bit softer ground in time. But yeah, I've spoken way too much about this race. Goodbye Dancer wins it.
We knew it. He's a secret closet jumps fan.
No, I don't mind juvenile hurdles because you get to see flat horses, but they are sometimes a real weird race to watch because they jump dreadfully.
Yeah, it'll be interesting nonetheless, I'll say that. But we'll move on to, as far as Callum is concerned, proper racing now with the first from Newmarket. There's a 2 o'clock, a 7 furlong race for fillies, and it's also a nursery. It's wide open. I just want to say, if Andrew Hawkins is watching today, his singular horse version is running in this in Hawkin. He was excited about that earlier on, but I wouldn't give that one a great deal of hope. Callum, your fancy for the race would be?
I haven't really got a strong fancy again, to be honest. I think the market has it pretty much spot on. Sandy Key was a horse I was impressed with last time out at Kempton. Beat a decent horse of Godolphin, scored an impressive victory, and they were well ahead of the rest. I think a mark of 81 is pretty fair, and you wouldn't take much winning, to be honest. There's quite a few that run in this from a Doncaster race, a similar Doncaster race, won by Homecomings. I think the third, fourth, fifth are in this again. They're all closely matched, but they don't particularly look outstanding. So I think the main danger is Rosalie Bonner, who won quite well at Salisbury last time. Maybe seems to do enough in her races. So she's only up £3 for it. This is a much better race because that was a pretty weak nursery for her debut. But she looked pretty fit on the day, and it's just whether she's got a bit more to come. She's quite a small filly, but I think they quite like her, so I'll just tentatively go for Rosalie Bonner at 9-2 ahead of Sandy Keel. I think it's a little bit short at 2-1, but probably deserves to be the favourite.
Yes, it's not a race that I'll be getting involved with any kind of betting wise. Sandy Key would probably be my idea of the winner. 2-1 has been back this evening as well, so a little bit of support. But there's also support for Callum's selection, Rosalie Bonner. There's a lot to like about Sandy Key's victory at Kempton last time out. Starts off in sort of nursery and handicapping life off a mark of 81. That could be a tad lenient. We'll have to progress, obviously, as most others in the field would, progressing into this sort of company. But I don't know. It's not a race that I really want to get too involved in. At a push, I'd give Gregoria an each way shout, but at about 9-1, 10-1 cheap piece first time. Maybe she could go a little bit better, but I'd be definitely saving money for a few races later on in the afternoon. Adam, your fancy?
You stole my points there about Gregoria. Thank you.
No worries.
Gregoria would actually be the selection. I mean, Sandy Kay, I think, is pretty short. I mean, he was impressive at Kempton, as you guys said. But Gregoria, I thought, ran really well at Doncaster, and I just think the step back up to 7 furlongs will help her here. The first time cheap pieces and Ryan Moore booked as well. I did fancy her that day at Doncaster, but then the 6.5 I just thought was a bit on the sharp side for her, especially with the pedigree, and there's plenty of stamina in it. And I think the step back up to 7 on this quick round as well, which she will handle, I think she could be a big price here. So Gregoria's the one for me.
Fair enough. Couldn't beat you off that one. Back over to Market Rasen, but first, Adam probably hasn't even noticed I've missed it out because he did as well. But before we did all the sort of previews, I meant to say, if you've got any questions or tweets or statements or anything about any news in the week of racing that's just gone by, you can tweet us at OnTheOtherHoof. We now have a Twitter account to make things easier for you, and we will reply to them or read them out or try and answer them to the best of our abilities at the end of the show. That's at OnTheOtherHoof, which is our Twitter account, and it's just an easier way for you guys to get in touch with us. But we move on back to Market Rasen for the 215, the 888 Sport Hurdle, which is the listed handicap hurdle over 2 miles and 1 furlong. It's a competitive race. It's a few sort of seasoned handicappers coming out of the woodwork earlier on, probably namely Bothy anyway. For me, probably want a bit softer ground. Adam, your selection for the race?
Well, I think Midjar is the right favourite for the race. I mean, he was 5th in the Grade 2 at Aintree behind Jotters Hill, and on that form, he should be winning this. The one that I am going to put up an each way price, and if he can get his own way in front, I think Australia Day, back on this good ground, the drop back to 2 miles over hurdles anyway, I think will suit him down to the ground. He got dropped £4 for a good effort over 2 mile free at this track behind Gold Options last time. I just think that he could be overpriced, and if he goes from the front, Gold Futures even, beg your pardon, not Gold Options. I just think if he can get his own way in front, I think he could make that price look very silly, and he has won around here before. So Australia Day for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on Australia Day ability-wise, but he doesn't seem to be the same horse when taken on. And with the likes of, I think Roman Flight likes to go forward, Bothy definitely likes to go forward. Whether he will tomorrow off the back of a 644-day absence, I'm not too sure. And Midjar is one that also likes to go forward. And albeit 9-2 isn't 9-2 is the price I'm looking at now. It's not the biggest price in this sort of race. It's the one that I'm going to take back on better ground. He's starting off life in handicapped company, as we mentioned in the previous race, off a mark of 139. Now, if you take into account his his highest flat mark was 109, he should have a bit in hand here, but things didn't really go to plan last season. He started off in Doncaster in a competitive race, not a strong one by any stretch of the imagination, but he won it with, well, he never came off the bridle whatsoever. He jumped really nicely, and Dennis O'Regan had a nice little spin round on him. Then went to Huntingdon and tried to do the same thing, but probably went off a bit too fast. Jumped well on the whole, but then got tired and was beaten turning for home, and eventually fell at the last, which he didn't really make a mistake. It was just a tired-looking fall. He just didn't really get the landing gear down and crumpled on the floor. He was okay, but because he came back at Aintree in the top novices hurdle, and I think was only about 12 lengths behind Joss's Hill, which isn't the worst sort of performance, really, saying that it was only his third run over hurdles. And off the mark of 139, that could be a bit lenient, especially with the season that John Ferguson's having at the moment, and he seems to be making a formidable partnership with Tony McCoy. So 9-2, 5-1 around that mark could be a decent price. He could just be very well handicapped, especially in this kind of race. Of the rest, I'd like to see Bothy run a good race. Lord at 3 always seems to run his race, sorry. Sort of around this time of year. Nico de Boinville gets on really well with him, so 16-1 could be an each way price, but I'd be struggling to get away from Midjar in this one. Callum.
Midjar, I think definitely deserves to be favourite because he's highly unexposed over hurdles. He was a top flat performer, albeit a bit quirky at times, but he always seems to run well fresh, which is probably a positive since he's been off since April. He's got his ground. He needs good ground, especially over hurdles. And he's run 5th behind Joss's Hill, finishing around 140 campaigners. I think he fully deserves to have a mark of 139. It's just whether he can win off it. It's quite hard to really find anything that looks particularly good to really match his sort of his pace, because most of them are just, proper jumps horses that are going to need further in time. There's one at a price I thought had a chance was Cool Sky for Ian Williams, who won a fair race 5 days ago. I think he's a horse that he's definitely had problems. I know for a fact he's had quite a few problems, but they wouldn't be putting him in this race if he wasn't over those. Just 6 days later, off a £5 penalty, and he'll love a strong pace and fast ground. So at 9-1, I think I'd just about prefer him over Midjar at 11-2. But again, I won't have a bet in the race.
Yes, my sort of train of thought was that if Midjar couldn't really win this, then there aren't going to be too many bigger races anyway, or bigger handicaps that he can be winning, really. This is sort of optimum ground. The trip should be fine, and I think Market Rasen, it will suit the flat types like himself. So I'd be worried if Midjar couldn't be winning a race of this caliber tomorrow.
Can I make a quick point about McCoy? Is McCoy the right type of jockey for this horse? I think McCoy, because McCoy is really good on horses that are quite troublesome, and Midjar will travel well, and I don't think McCoy really will suit the horse as well as O'Regan does, because O'Regan's quite a stylish jockey. That would be a small negative for me. McCoy a negative, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'd have it sort of. He travels on the front. I imagine he will be the overall leader because he's got more pace than 11.
Oh
10
no, he'd be held. I'd expect him to be held up, definitely.
Really?
For him to settle, definitely.
I don't know. On his first and second runs over hurdles, he went off front and led, and led a long way. Huntingdon was stupid because it was on heavy ground, and he just got tired. They held him up at Aintree, didn't really work. But then,
I think he just ran to his level.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was going to say, saying that it was against much better opposition.
The problem with him going to the front tomorrow is the fact that you've got so many front runners in the race. And if it could be for a hold-up horse. That's the thing. They could cut each other's throats up front, and they could be walking by the last. So
it just depends how fast they go. Like, if they go a million miles per hour, then yeah, I'm sure Tony McCoy will rein him back and just sit him in behind and just wait. But if there's no pace on, I wouldn't have anything against Midjar going on.
No, he can go on. I would expect him to be held up tomorrow. fully would. I mean, it's a difference between small novice hurdles where the tries are at the front and the non-tries are at the back. This is a proper race.
I think it may also depend on how he's jumping early on. If he sort of batters the first 2 hurdles, then AP could let him go to the front, because he does seem best when he's sort of just going off on his own at a good clip and sort of not having any horses around him. But we'll see tomorrow, because we've talked a lot about the the tactics of Midshot. If John Ferguson's watching this, then you're welcome. But we'll find that out tomorrow. Move back to Newmarket now for the Jubilant Royal Lodge Stakes, a Group 2 over a mile, and a small but select field. Berkshire won this last year, and obviously has only had the one outing this season and got injured. But we should be seeing him back very shortly. Nafakar is the 11-8 favourite at the moment, and Nafakar is the one at Royal Ascot that got completely left behind in the stalls, made a really encouraging debut, but since then has won twice, and is looking to build on that with first attempt in Group Company and Group 2 nonetheless. But Elm Park would be the one to really step up to Nafakar. But would you be on the side of the favourite here, Callum?
I would have preference for Elm Park. The one thing about Nafakar, he doesn't look the easiest of rides. I mean, he comes with a late burst, like he did at Ascot. I know he badly missed the break. Newbury, he was more prominent and did well, but last time out he lost his place a little bit and then came with a late run and got up late on. I know that form has been boosted by Too Cool for School actually bolting up in the Mill Reef last week, but it's not form I want to take literally, because I think Too Cool for School just proved a good few pounds for that run, and just considering how the race panned out, I wouldn't take it quite literally. But I mean, he's beaten Too Cool for School. I'd probably have around a 110 horse. Nafakar's officially rated 109 off the back of that. I think that's fair, but I think Elm Park, who beat an okay field, the second has finished second in France since he rated 95, but he just won like a really good horse, and I do like the horse a lot, and he will go out from the front here. I don't know if there's any real other ones to make the pace, but I'll be very surprised if he doesn't make the running. And I think he could steal it from the front, because this is a really tough horse. The only reservation I had was the ground. I mean, it's drying out, and it was on the softer side at Salisbury. He won his maiden on soft. He ran okay on debut on good to firm, but it's just whether he prefers soft. That's the other worry as well for Salatine, who is a horse I really rate. He's just, last time when he was at York, he really didn't enjoy the fast ground, and on the softer surface at Doncaster, he absolutely hacked up in a weak nursery. But Elm Park for me tomorrow. But it's, again, I was going to have a bet in the race, but I think I might just leave it. I just have small reservations about the ground for him.
Yeah, I'm actually on the side of Elm Park as well. You might remember had an entry in the Solario at Sandown, which of course was won by Bante, but instead went for a race the day before at Salisbury, which I got informed by, I think, of Adam actually.
Yeah.
And well, thankfully he did actually, because I backed Elm Park then in the Stonehenge to a listed race at Salisbury over a mile, Maidel, and it was never really in doubt. But one going away by 3 lengths, which he looked like a decent horse at the time. You could question sort of how much was really behind him, but won it in the style of a very nice horse. I just think, as Callum said, Nafakar looks potentially a bit awkward, and probably is a bit awkward in fairness. So taking 11-8 around that, I'm not 100% sure. I'd much rather the 3-1 at Elm Park. And no disrespect to David Probert at all, but Andrea Azzani, I think this season's been definitely top 5 easily jockeys throughout the whole season, probably even higher than that. About 3-1, I think he could be a solid bet for tomorrow. And he's in contention for my nap, but I'm deciding between 2 at the moment. But Adam, I know you like Elm Park as well.
I do, yeah.
Is it going to be a clean sweep? Or?
Yeah, it's going to be a clean sweep. I will give a mention, just before I talk about Elm Park, to the horse that won the Haydock Maiden in Lord Ben Stack, and he beat, I think it's a good maiden, because the second has come out Disillusion and won since, and he's a horse I will be putting in the horses to follow piece next year for handicaps. Darrington came out and won, and the 4th horse, Rocky Rider, has got plenty of growing to do, and he's shaped with a lot of promise that day, and he'll probably also make it into the video next year. For other reasons as well, Elm Park would be a appropriate winner, because Andrew Balding lost his uncle Toby last night, and it's a hard time for the family at the minute, and I think they need a good boost, and I think this would be the perfect winner for them. He won at Salisbury last time out and was really impressive, and I just think potentially him and Lord Ben Stack can go from the front, because Lord Ben Stack made all the running last time out. But I think Elm Park will be too good tomorrow. Lord Ben Sack is one for next year as well. He'll be another horse probably going in the video. So Elm Park is my likely winner, but I'd actually say that Lord Ben Sack could chase him home. I'm not a big fan of Mafaka, so Elm Park it is.
There's not much point in you doing the flat preview video next year, is it? You're just giving out half your horses there.
It's just giving out a pointer, just in case that Lord Ben Sack goes and wins tomorrow, or no.
Then you can claim vague glory from that.
Vague glory, that's a good way to put it. Oh.
We won't dwell too much on that. We're back jumping now, Callum. Great news. The 250, the 888 Sport Handicap Chase, which is a listed race over 2 miles, 6 furlongs, 110 yards. It's a competitive enough handicap. It looks kind of like your typical summer or early season summer chase. There's a few interesting horses in there, none more so than At a Glance for me, who went closer at the Cheltenham Festival last year. Really should have won the Centenary behind Present View, but Brian Hughes maybe didn't have his finest hour in the saddle. Surely if At a Glance is ready, Adam, he has to be going very close in this.
Yeah, he does. He was one that interested me, and if he is ready tomorrow, I expect him to go very close. However, there's another horse that if he is ready, I think he can win this quite nicely, and it's Fox Appeal. He is top weight, yes, but his form is just stacks up so well. I mean, he was second on debut over fences to Black Thunder, finished really close to Wonderful Charm. He beat the ill-fated racer at Ascot, has form with other Alan King horses in Valdez and Border Success, and Dukes is Andra as well, but I think he's a horse that prefers going right-handed as well, and the run that I thought his best run last season, apart from the win, was when he was third to Boulder Success at Kempton. And I just think right-handed, I think he'll be ready tomorrow because Emma Lavelle wants to know whether he's good enough to mix it in graded company or whether he's just a good handicapper. And I just think that even off top weight, I think he can win this.
Yeah, that's fair. You've been on about Foxbill for quite a while, actually, haven't you?
Since the entries came out, yeah. And she mentioned this race for him. I've been quite sweet. I'm contemplating he could be the nap tomorrow, although it might be a stupid nap.
Well, in fairness, your naps are rarely clever, so...
Yeah, you've got a point there. I think on this day last year, you weren't here and I hosted, and I put my nap in the Cambridgeshire. It finished off at 31st of 35, I think. It was either 29th or 31st, one or the other. It was Red Avenger, and he's not in it, thank God. Oh, bless him.
It's not like you have one tailed off in a handicap, is it?
No.
I'm actually going to side with Mark Lane for this one. Mark Lane's been a horse that I've liked for a long time, ever since he was with Shark Hanlon over in Ireland. But I originally saw him at Perth when he won a handicap by literally half the track. That's not really an exaggeration. He was a long way clear. I think it was a novice hurdle that day, but has since moved to Dr. Richard Newland, or as Callum would call him, Dr. Richard Newland. He won first time out for his new yard at Stratford, and it was a good ride from Sam Twiston Davis that day. I didn't think he really wanted to be a chaser at that point, but he's since sort of proved me wrong. He's won again at Doncaster when winning a competitive race and really sort of blitzing the field off two pounds lower than this. Completely had a mind blank on a word then. 2 pounds lower than this mark today of 134. Since then he's found life pretty tough off higher marks. He went on 142 and got pulled up at Doncaster, then was 9th at Doncaster, and he's slowly been slipping down at the weights, then went to Aintree over the national fences, got pulled up in that, and I never really had him sort of taking to them fences, but there was obviously something wrong at Haydock last time out when pulled up very early on in the race. Wasn't really jumping, got sort of bumped into a few times early on in the race after a fence, and it was right of Sam Tristan Davis to pull him up. But interesting jockey booking with Darryl Jacob tomorrow. Now, the trip isn't a worry because he's won over 3 miles, but he's not the biggest horse. He doesn't look like your average chaser. So if they let him go on the front end as well, he could be one that sort of nips around Market Rasen. It's a tight track, and sometimes the front runners can get away from them. So if Mark Lane can do that, then 9-1, 10-1 would be a nice sort of a price about a horse that is potentially still better than a mark of 134 on this kind of ground as well. Of the rest, I've already mentioned At a Glance. I think it's got a big chance. I know Callum thinks that as well. It sort of took him a while to get really down with chasing. Lost to Double Ross on his chasing debut, or early on in his chasing career anyway, and that's not proved to be that bad of a thing. But he's really sort of getting his act together over the larger obstacles, and I think he'd be the biggest danger if ready for tomorrow. But I imagine they'll have a few bigger targets later on in the season, possibly even the Paddy Power Gold Cup. But I don't know. For tomorrow, I think I'd leave at a glance, and I'd give a tentative selection to Mark Lane. Are you siding with at a glance, Callum?
Yeah, I might actually even have a bet on him.
What?
I'm quite keen on him tomorrow. I just, to be honest, he's a horse that I've waited quite a while for over fences to not be running, to be running over further than 2 mile 4 on a flatter track. I think he's always wanted that sort of race, and now that he's really got his act together over fences, I think he's got the potential to strike. I mean, what did he rate over? He won off 144 at Aintree in 2012. He's off 143 tomorrow, but he looks just as good now over hurdles and over fences than he is over hurdles, and he ran well on his return last year. So, and there's been a bit of money for him already. I mean, he was 9 to 1 when I checked earlier. He's now 7. So I quite like him. Bar that, I think I always respected His Royal Highness Dr. Richard Newman's horses. So Mark Lane has got to have a chance. Ballinkeurig, if better for when he was brought down. Well, he's brought down at the first at Haydock in May. I think he might be ready for it. Dan Skelton's made a really good start last year. My worry about Fox Appeal is that Emma Lavelle's yet season. I think she's not from 40 or something. No, not that bad, but she's yet to have a winner, so I don't think the Yard are in really good form. So that'd be my worry. So I'm going to go for at a glance.
Yeah, Emma Lavelle's Yard seems to definitely be one anyway that you really strike when the iron's hot. When her horses are winning, then they are all winning, and then when they're not, like was it a couple of seasons ago? She didn't have a winner from, I think it was December through to Aintree or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy, wasn't it?
I think Yarmouth had a virus.
Yeah, but it was a long absence, but she seems to be back in decent enough form at the moment. We go back down to Newmarket now to Callum. You can breathe. The jumping is over. The 310 at Newmarket is the Connolly's Red Mills Cheveley Park Stakes as Fillies Group 1 over 6 furlongs, and a very, very competitive race, and probably a race that's full of class as well. Tiggy Wiggy heads the field around even money, 11 to 10. Has been supported in places, but I believe Anthem Alexander is price-wise the Queen Mary winner. It's a competitive race with the likes of High Celebrity thrown in and Tendu as well. Callum, which way are you going to sway out of the 4?
This is a fantastic renewal of the Cheveley Park, and Tiggy Wiggy on previous encounters would win the heavy majority of these on the form she's shown so far, and she deserves to be favourite. Her Lowther win last time was really impressive. The way she quickened away from a really good field, overturning the form with Anthem Alexander early in the season in the Queen Mary, and having Cursory Glance in second, who's obviously gone and won the Moyglare. So that's really, really good form. The worry for me, for her tomorrow, is the faster ground. There was a bit of rain that day at York, and it kind of took a bit of sting out of the ground. We haven't had any rain at all over the past few days around here, and I think it's going to be riding good to firm, and that would just be my small negative, because I think she's a good few pounds better on softer ground. And Anthem Alexander, who has is £3 better off from that run and has the faster ground, I think will go closer. It's just I can't see her beating her over 6, because I think she's an absolute speedball and wants 5. It's just whether I can't get High Celebrity out of my head as a horse that I think will go really well. You can excuse her defeat behind Arabian Queen. She just wasn't right that day, and she's won really impressively the other time before. I mean, her maiden win was absolutely incredible. Visually and on the clock is not to be underestimated in this field. She's a very good filly. She's well bred and she's speedy, and I think at 8 to 1, I'd rather give her a chance. Even Terror as well, who again visually was really impressive at Warwick. She actually hacked up by 10 lengths. She beat probably a 65 rated rival that day, but she looked at a potential pattern class horse. So the 5 of them are all well worth their chances in what is a proper 2-year-old Group 1 race. If I had to choose a winner tomorrow, or one that I'd back at a price, it would probably be Tendu, because I know John Gosling wouldn't put her in if he didn't think she was good enough. and I think she can surprise a few tomorrow.
That's fair enough. I don't know. I'm surprised that you've gone against the top three, really.
Yeah, it's just a value. It's just a value price kind of bet. I mean, I just think because Tendu was just so impressive last time out, and she highlighted herself as a top group performer, certainly up to the standard of what those three are. I think. I think 8-1 is probably just worth a price worth backing. I do expect. I probably expect it to not be as good as that, but it's a really good race. I'm not going to have a bet probably, but Tendu would be a tentative selection.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Unlike you guys, I'm expecting Tiggy Wiggy to win tomorrow. I think with remarks to the ground, Callum, they haven't used the Roddy Mile much at all since switching back from the July course. So there'll still be a good covering of grass on there. It may not ride as fast as maybe the going description describes, although it will obviously be fast. So that may help Tiggy Wiggy out a bit. I don't think that fast ground is overly a bad thing. You remember the run in the Queen Mary? She was getting back on top of Anthem Alexander in the closing stages.
Both her defeats have been on the fastest ground she's encountered. At York, when it was a lot faster than what was reported, and in the Queen Mary, they were the two fastest conditions she's faced. I think she's a good few pounds better on softer ground.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I do see what you mean, but I don't have her performance down in the Queen Mary as a bad thing at all. I think sort of another half a furlong as she was in front. I think it's the distance that's brought out the improvement in her. Especially last time out was, in my eyes, clearly her best performance to date, beating Cursory Glance and Anthem Alexander. But I don't know. I haven't got that many worries about the ground in total honesty. But over 6 furlong, I do think that she is near unbeatable anyway. In the 2-year-old fillies department, there were people saying that they wanted her to go for the Nunthorpe, and in fairness, I could understand that, getting a £27 allowance, but they decided to go for the Lowther and beat Anthem Alexander. Now, I completely agree with Callum that Anthem Alexander is an absolute speedball and should be kept at 5 furlongs. I think she could be the next Soul Power, is what I sort of have my eyes across. Obviously, she's got to come on a lot and progress a lot over the winter, but her performance at Ascot, the way she travelled into the race was so impressive for me, and the way she went past Tiggy Wiggy as well. But then over 6 furlongs, she doesn't really have to, or seem to have the same sort of one sweeping movement. She doesn't come into the race travelling as nicely. Maybe that's because Tiggy Wiggy has been leading and just completely tearing apart the race from the front. We'll sort of see a bit more of that tomorrow. But I had my eyes on this, and I just thought Tiggy Wiggy should not be about 11 to 10. I'm not really one to get too invested in short price favourites, but I had Tiggy Wiggy sort of pretty heavily odds on, maybe 4 to 6, something like that. But I as Callum mentioned, I do have a lot of respect for High Celebrity. Something was wrong when she visited the July course last, but we have to take into account as well that Arabian Queen was ridden by Ryan Moore, and Ryan Moore gave Arabian Queen one of the best rides you'll see all season out in front, and High Celebrities didn't really have the pace to go past, which again puts me back to trip worries for her. I think she'll be one that benefits her further, and I would be sort of I'd fancy her in the 1,000 Guineas next year if she turns up for that. But saying that, Andre Fabre and Maxime Guillaume won this last year. No, they didn't. Sorry, I'm talking absolute crap.
Well done.
Sorry, I don't know why I said that. Talking utter balls. But I just think High Celebrity is one that will need further in time. Maybe an extra furlong, I think I'd give her more of a chance. But for me, I really can't see Tiggy Wiggy beaten tomorrow. And by it being 11 to 10, I still think that's a fairly big price about her. But Adam, you don't feel the same?
No, I don't. But can I make a point? You said that there'd be a lovely covering of grass. On Racing UK yesterday, Eddie Fremantle said he walked the track, and he actually said that there wasn't really that much grass. He said that...
Take it, Luke.
Sorry. he wasn't watching. But Eddie Fremantle said he walked the track, and he said there wasn't much of a covering of grass. And he expected the ground over the week to dry out considerably, and it is drying up considerably.
It's drying out, yeah. But
which I have as a worry for Tiggy Wiggy, and I think she is too short. I mean, you think that she should be a shade odds on, but in a Group 1 of this quality, I would not want to back her at odds on. No way would I.
No, not at all.
With the quality
I
of opposition,
I wouldn't back her at odds on, but I feel that she should be.
Fair enough. I have the worry about the faster ground for her, and the one I actually agree with Callum on Tender. I mean, her Kempton win was just so impressive on the clock and visually as well. And John Gosden supplemented her for the race. Well, Callum Abdullah obviously supplemented her for the race, but they wouldn't have supplemented her if John Gosden wasn't giving them the vibes that she's working well at home, that she's ready for it. Because John Gosden is the type of trainer who does not enter his horses in these Group 1s straight away. He would rather supplement knowing that their ability is there rather than put them in, find out they're not good enough. Which, for me, is just a big tick. So, Tendu would be the selection. I think Anthem Alexander is a 5 furlong horse through and through. And I actually have High Celebrity down as the main danger. I mean, I'm not sure whether it was the ground, actually, when she got beat by Arabian Queen, who reopposes here. But yeah, Tendu's the likely winner, and I can see High Celebrity chasing her home.
I'll tell you who agrees with you guys on Tendu.
Ooh.
Jeff Handley agrees with you on Tendu. He tweeted in, Tendu smashed the juvenile track record at Kempton Park.
Yeah, she did, I forgot to mention that.
Last time out, and she has plenty of potential for the future. I think most of these have a lot of potential for the future. But no, you have to respect Tendu, but again, she will have to come on leaps and bounds to really compete with the likes of Alexander and Tiggy Wiggy, who are now really seasoned campaigners for 2-year-olds anyway. But the last race we're going to be covering is the nice and easy Cambridgeshire, which is a run over 1 mile and 1 furlong. How did we get on in this last year? You had, was it Educate last year, Callum?
Yeah, of course I did.
It was.
I had a place with Graphic as well, so it was a good race last year.
It was a bad race for me last year, and I'd rather forget about it. So.
I think mine came 9th or something like that. I think Sam Sharp was mine.
31st. Oh. I hope you're 30 better this year.
Well, you can do a lot worse this year, Adam, with 35 horses in it.
Yeah.
I'd love to tell you that you can only get better from that position, but I'd be lying. Callum, Educate's back again for another crack this year, but off a higher mark. Would that put you off this season?
Yeah, I just think he's too high in the weights. I know he'll run his race and he loves these big handicaps. It's just 110. I think it's just too much for him. And last 2 winners of the race are actually in the race, because Bronze Angel's also in the race and probably has a better chance with is it Louis Stewart taking off 5 somewhere again? Yeah. He's got a fair chance. One point I wanted to make about the race is I think the market's pretty much got it spot on, in that the horses that should be winning this race are near the head of the market. There's no horse in the race that I think is massively overpriced at this stage, and that I could easily get my list down to 8 horses. It was just picking 2 after that. In the end, my pin has fallen on, firstly, Velox, who is a horse I've had for the race for quite a while, actually. I backed him at Sandown when he won in July, and he really enjoyed the stiff mile. He's just a horse that he has a lot of speed, but he stays well, but he doesn't stay 10 furlongs. He's quite a tripless horse, and the 9 furlongs could actually be an absolutely ideal for him. At Goodwood, I think the test was just too sharp for him. He went off favourite in the bet for a mile and didn't really perform. Last time, I just looked all like a prep run. I mean, every time he's usually well in touch and near the leaders. Last time he was held up right at the back, came up with a really good run late on and finished 3rd and was really gaining at the line. Cam Hardy comes back again to take off that £5, which is virtually £5 for free now, because he's just such a good accomplished rider, which means that his mark of 97 I think is workable, and I do like Velox. The other one I do like and I probably prefer is Rafe Beckett's Nice of You to Tell Me. I think is another horse that's been plotted out for the race. My small worry is that he was well beaten in the Silver Cambridgeshire last year, but I think he might have gone over the top by then. He's only had 3 runs this season. He won over course and distance on his first run. Quite impressive that day as well. And he's a horse that just needs fast ground and, more importantly, a straight track. After that, Ascot in the Hunt Cup, he went and ruined the chance of the horse we backed in AR. And himself only finished 9th, beaten 5 lengths. And the trip is just too short for him. Last time at Goodwood, it's just not his bag, Goodwood, that sort of track. So return to the scene of his last win off just £6 higher with the man of the moment, James Doyle, in these big handicaps. So there's any jockey you'd rather have than him. I am quite sweet on Nice of You to Tell Me tomorrow with a strong pace in a big field. It will be ideal for him. But the ones on my shortlist for what it's worth, Cornrow, obvious chance. Extremity again. The 3-year-olds usually run well in the race. Bronze Angel, I'd expect to run well. And Balti Boys, I thought, was a little bit overpriced if he confirmed he could stay. May just stretch his stamina, but he's due to go up £6 higher for his second to captain cap, which is really strong form, and he loves fast ground.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'd love to say you covered half the field, but you haven't really even scratched the surface, have you, on this race? For me, up at the top is sort of where I'm finding the more likely winners, and the one that I've fallen on is Gabriel's Kaka, who I know Adam is a fan of as well, and this probably isn't a good race for Adam because price-wise has stolen his, and I've stolen his second one with Gabriel's Kaka, so there's not much for him to talk about now. But Gabriel's Kaka had some really good form at the start of the season when 6th in the Lincoln behind Ocean Tempest. Tullius was also in there as well. But it's progressed since that. Won competitive Newbury handicap in nice style under Jamie Spencer. But since then, it's been consistent, but not really threatened to sort of be winning until its last 2 appearances. Two outings ago was behind Velox at Sandown, ridden by Frankie Dettori, and it wasn't one of his finest moments. He was given about 20 lengths to make up when turning for home, and at Sandown in competitive handicaps like that race was, you can't do that at all. And I think it's testament to Gabriel's Kaka that he managed to stay on for 3rd. And he was getting closer and closer as the line came along. So I think you can upgrade that performance quite significantly. And then at York last time, I was a bit disappointed actually. He got outpaced at a crucial moment and lost his pitch. And it looked as if he was just going to drop out and it would be sort of a forget that run next time. But he stayed on really nicely, which sort of brought me around to the way of thinking that he might need a bit further. The extra furlong at Newmarket on a tougher course like Newmarket may actually suit him down to the ground. So at 25-1 with Pat Smollen booked, I'm willing to take a chance on Gabriel's Kaka. And one as well, I'd love to say one at a bigger price, but that's been completely ruined now by Hugh Taylor tipping him up, is Bank Noana Heron, who I sort of labelled up for this race quite a while ago. He's had a mid-season break, so he came back for the Shergar Cup, was given a nice little introduction. I expected him to be closer last time than he was, but I still think he's another one that will improve for the extra furlong. Let's not forget he won the Silver Cambridgeshire last year that was run today. So, but again, 16-1 now, I'm seeing at Bank Noana Heron. You're taking a lot on that horse just returning to form in this one race, and it's not really a price that I've been wanting to get involved in. So, for me, I'd take Gabriel's Kaka, and I'd be quite confident of a decent run from Richard Fahey's representative here. And Adam, I know you are as well.
Yeah, I'll add a bit more on Gabriel's Kaka. I thought last time out at York, he looked as though he wanted actually a step up in trip, actually. I thought he ran really well, he looked outpaced. And after the race, I watched it back and I was surprised at how close he was at the end. And I just think the extra furlong on this fast ground, which he needs, because if you remember in the Lincoln, he was quite he wasn't disappointing, but he wanted better ground, which he got then at Newbury. Pat Smullen takes the ride, and Pat Smullen for me gave the ride of the season in a handicap, which is short squeeze. I don't know if he's going to do the exact same thing tomorrow, but I think Gabriel's Kaka is one that I'm really sweet on. And the other horse, which is price-wise, and if anybody saw my tweet earlier, I was not very pleased, but a horse I've had in mind for quite a while for this race, a horse called Extremity, trained by Hugo Palmer. He first went into my notebook when he was second to a Sir Michael Stout horse in Idea, who hasn't exactly gone on since, when second at Kempton. And since then, he has just continually improved and improved. He won at Goodwood, given a great ride by Ryan Moore that day. He then was second at York, behind Master of the World, carrying top weight, which was a really good performance. And then last time out, I was really impressed at the fact that because he didn't handle the ground, yet he still won nicely at first, beating Lesher and Master of the World again. So I just think he has been laid out for this race, and he's a horse definitely to keep on side, not just tomorrow, but I also think next year as well, where I think he can improve again. He's my likely winner of the race, and I hope he can obviously do the business after the embarrassment from 12 months ago. So Extremity has been my likely winner, and Gabriel's Kaka, I think, at an each-way price is a good bet. So they'd be my two against the field.
But again, like I said earlier on, it could always get worse in this kind of field with 35 runners.
Yeah, I could get 34 and 35, and that would be... Oh, no, I don't want that.
That is the Channel 4 racing done for tomorrow. Michael's not here at the moment because he's on Freshers Week at university. and he's probably lying face down in the gutter at some point right now. But he did give us the Naughty Luck 15 earlier on, and I'm hoping that Adam noted it down, but I forgot to.
I didn't. Give it. Do something else first, and I'll go and get it. I'll go get it. I know what it is, so I'll go get it, and then.
Right, we'll do some questions then.
Yeah.
I think. Who've got sending? James, on Twitter, Burbank Jones, sent in a question, sort of questioning something that Callum said earlier on, saying McCoy doesn't suit a travelling horse, and then it sort of alerted us to my tent or yours. I don't think it was more that he doesn't suit a travelling horse, it's more that we associate him with a horse that he has to really pick up off the floor and lift over the line, wasn't it?
To be fair, I've always said I would like to see Barry Geraghty on my tent or yours.
I don't want Paul Carberry on my tent or yours. I think.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's no offence to McCoy. I just think. I mean, he's still a very good rider, but he's a very good rider on a horse that needs to be coaxed along, and Mijar is not that kind of horse. It's a strange one. I'm not going to say it's. I'm going to probably go back on my word and not say it's a negative, but I would rather have Dennis O'Regan on him.
Yeah, it's fair enough. And he also goes for 2 in the game. Nice of you to tell me, and Bank Nuana Heron in the Cambridgeshire Hills are paying 7 places for each way terms, which is quite generous of them. Really.
We both of those, don't we? So that's those covered.
Yeah. Kai Wills has come back. Nafakar or Tiggy Wiggy? Which is the safest option, guys? For me, Tiggy Wiggy. I think Tiggy Wiggy is.
Sorry, Nick. I'm really sorry.
I'd rather be. If I had to choose, I'd rather be on Tiggy Wiggy than Nafakar. If I had to choose between
I would agree. Had to.
Yeah. Okay. So all on. There's your answer for Kai. That's it in Tiggy Wiggy. Phil Dinsdale's coming with his nap for tomorrow. Potent Embrace in the 305 at Chester. I have to confess, I haven't looked completely at that race, Phil, but good luck with that. Have you guys managed to have a look at that race at all?
Late night request runs, I know that, and if the ground's plenty soft enough, I think she'll have an excellent chance tomorrow. Although I'm surprised she's gone there when there was a handicap at Haydock that she could have gone for on softer ground. No. Let's not talk about Haydock, because I got quite angry earlier in the week. Oh, dear.
Yeah, most meetings they have. Chris Heath has said he fancies Bartak and Bronze Angel in the Cambridgeshire, and Bronze Angel, I think, is his biggest each way punt with William Hill again, as you mentioned, paying 7 places. That, at the moment, is all I can find. Adam, Michael's Naughty Luck 15.
Naughty Lucky 15 from Michael. Okay, in the 310 at Newmarket, he's gone for Explosive Lady. In the Cambridgeshire, Big Johnny D, he always gets a mention in these Naughty Lucky 15s. In the Haydock 335, he's gone for Expose. And in the Ripon 505, this is a very good one for him. Never Up. Oh
dear.
Even when he's not here, he still brings a smile and a laugh. Out of interest, it was his birthday on Tuesday, so happy birthday from us all. I was meant to mention it last week and completely forgot. So if you're watching, and I doubt he is, happy birthday for Tuesday.
Happy 12th birthday.
Happy.
And if you are watching, what the hell are you doing watching us when you're at university?
Yeah, true.
Phil Dinsdale actually sent quite a question for. Well, I'm going to aim it at Callum anyway. He likes to look at Forgotten Hero. After a good run last time behind Mount Logan. Forgotten Hero is one you actually like, isn't it, Callum?
Yeah, he's still on my radar, Forgotten Hero. He won really well at Ascot. He's only £3 higher. My worry tomorrow is the trip, and more importantly, the ground, because he does like to get his toe in. So I think it might just be too quick for him over the trip, especially.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That is all the questions we have on the OnTheOtherHoof account. I can't check my account because that'd take too long.
We had 2 others that I've just remembered off the top of my head, but they were both about Tiggy Wiggy, and I think one of them was asking whether she's had enough runs, which was from Sean, and I think Play to Win also asked, was she a good thing? I don't think she's a good thing, and you could also take into consideration that she has had a hard season. But then again, from what I was hearing at Hannon, she doesn't do very much at home. It's basically she basically canters, and most of her running was on the race course. So you could, from the interview from York Battles, I think. So yeah,
He says she's in better shape than what she was in March. and that
You'd
she's
expect
actually
that, though.
she's put weight on since the Lowther. That's the quote. Now, it's a strange one because if she wins tomorrow, does she go for the Ab8?
Yeah,
She
I was going to
can't.
say.
Surely
I was
she
going to say.
can't. 8
I was,
days. It's too
I was
little.
8 days.
going to say they are planning another run for her, aren't they?
Mm.
Oh my.
Which wouldn't suggest that they think that she's coming to the end of her tether for the year.
To be honest, I mean, it might have just been a case. That next year, that 3-year-old race is ideal for her. So I think they might just leave it at tomorrow,
Yeah.
depending on what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
makes
tell you that.
sense. It makes
Not
sense.
ruin her next year.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. A few things that we asked sort of opinions for on Twitter earlier on in the week was Kingman's retirement was the first one. Your guys thoughts on Kingman being retired prematurely as a 3-year-old at the moment.
The first instinct, I was gutted when I found out, but then you've got to think about how flat racing is. It's so commercially based, and he's going to make more at stud rather than keep him in training next year, where he could have had a very exciting campaign. But there's no value in our country anyway for sprinting, which is I think is a crying shame, because we want more mile-based horses and obviously classic horses. But I think if he had stayed in training, I think the July Cup would have been a race made for him. I just think with that turn of foot. And I know we were all at Goodwood, and I think it's one of the best performances I've ever seen in the flesh. So he didn't look likely at one stage, but then you watch it back, and it just feels like he wasn't even at 100%, even to go past Toronado. It's just the effortless and the easiness he'd win his races is just mind blowing. I'm going to miss him a lot. He's probably my favourite horse of the flat. I even said to somebody at one stage, and you two know how much I love Tea for Free. I even said that he'd overtake Tea for Free in my ranking of racehorses. That's saying something. So
Yeah, we know you get attached
I'll
to him
miss him a
anyway.
lot. I'll miss him a lot.
Yeah. I think he is the kind of horse that could have been better next year. And Callum, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I mean, like I echo what Adam said. Really, he's one of the most talented horses I've seen, and I'm disappointed a lot of people are crabbing his form because he's got one of the best turn of foots I've seen of any horse over any trip, never mind over a mile. So regarding stud, I think he might have been back as a 4-year-old if he hadn't had so many injury problems. I mean, he had quite a significant injury problem coming into his 3-year-old career. He's always had niggling injuries here and then, and I can understand why they retired because he's got a future as a sire by Invincible Spirit, out of a classic winner. So he's well bred for the job. So hopefully he does well. It's a shame he's not back, but I'll always remember him as a top horse.
Yeah, and hopefully he does well in his next career as a stallion. Anyway, joining Frankel at Banstead Manor, and the second bit of news that we learned of this week was more on a sad tone of the death of Toby Balding, who died early this week, 2 days after celebrating his 78th birthday. Now, Adam, you in particular, I imagine, have more of a sort of a soft spot for Toby Balding. Obviously, everyone in racing appreciates what he did for the sport and what he did for sort of everyone inside the sport. But with Highland Wedding and Little Polvia winning the Grand National, I imagine you've got some fond memories of looking through the archive banks.
Well, I'd admit, everybody on the other hoof, I'd admit that I'm probably the more historical one. I enjoy looking back at the history of the sport. I like the smile there, Callum, yeah. I enjoy going back to the archives, and I enjoy looking at races from the 60s to the 70s. And Toby Balding is a name that constantly cropped up. I mean, he obviously trained Highland Wedding and Little Paul to win the National, but not just National horses. He had a Gold Cup winner in Cool Ground, and if you watch the interview I posted last night, he seemed so surprised that he's won. And it's, well, that's a really good prep for the Grand National, because Cool Ground was a 33-1 outsider and not expected to win. But the horses that I think he'll be fondly remembered for are the likes of hurdlers like Beach Road, who was also, as Peter O'Sullivan put it in commentary, an unthought-of horse who won the champion hurdle at 50-1. And Morley Street, who was a horse that my dad told me about. And Morley Street was a horse with a high cruising speed and did amazing things. He won a champion hurdle, he won countless entry hurdles, and one that I think lives long in the memory of many people is the 93 one where Graham Bradley just goes behind the bridle and wins effectively as he likes. And one more thing as well, Morley Street was different in the fact that he was also dual purpose on the flat as well, and he also went to America and won 2 Breeders' Cup chases. So he was an unbelievable horse. So I just think it's a crying shame, and his legacy will live on. Obviously, I mean, he's got his brother Ian, who was also a great trainer. He's got Andrew. He's got Claire as well. So his legacy will live on in the sport, and he will be He will be greatly missed and fondly remembered by even people our age. I mean, I saw some tweets off people our age, which I think is great. I mean, it shows that people, even our age, still respect the elders in the sport, even if we weren't around in that era. So, yeah, it's a big shame. So, and he'll be fondly missed. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's one person that is sort of around our age that owes a great deal to him is actually my girlfriend has been on this show a few times, and she wanted to sort of leave me a few words to say about him, that she owes an incredible amount to Toby Balding, who sort of kick-started her career as a bloodstock agent. She went into his yard and didn't really know what horse racing was, basically, and didn't really know what she was surrounded by, who Toby was at the time. And then she sort of grew closer and closer friends with him. I think at one point she even lived with him, and he said at one point, just randomly, "Here you go, you should be a bloodstock agent. Here's some books on bloodstock. Learn about bloodlines, learn about sires, learn about dams." And she learned everything, took it all in. And I think at one point her room was made out of books. So I know she's incredibly upset today, but extremely appreciative of the chances that he gave her. And just wanted to say that he was an incredible man and very generous at the same time, and he'll forever be in his debt.
Where's the front page of the... Well, just 1 second, there's an interesting... the cover on the Racing Post. Where was the quote? I saw a really good quote from Alistair Down. And I think it was like, great with horses, even better with people. And that basically what you've just said has summed the guy up. So, yeah, he will be missed in the sport.
Yeah,
so.
It's a gentleman to sport, and a guy that's going to be sorely missed by sort of everyone involved in this race sport, and even people probably outside of it with Grand National winners of the likes. But a somber note to end on tonight, but we'll do naps first to, well, hopefully boost a decent record. Callum, you're nap for tomorrow.
Can you come back to me? I just need to find out. It's I can't remember the name of it.
Midnight Shot.
Yeah, I know loads about this horse. Yeah, Midnight Shot. It's only... I don't really take these naps too seriously. Midnight Shot. Last year I napped a Charlie Longston horse in this bumper because he's won it every year it's been run. The first renewal won by the Beast at his Magnifica 12, and then Spirit Shankly in Long Lunch for Alan Halsall. He's got Midnight Shot tomorrow. Got the Ferguson horse to beat, but he's getting weight from it, and it's a good horse. So I think hopefully around 4 to 192 will be a good price to back.
Yeah, that is the Charlie Longston bumper, isn't it?
Yes.
Adam, your nap for tomorrow?
I'm going to go for a poignant winner. I'm going to go with Elm Park. I really hope he does it tomorrow. Right, you've gone for it as well. Let's go together then.
Brilliant. I was going to go. I was between him and Tiggy Wiggy, and I just thought a 3 to 1 Elm Park's probably a more value bet.
I thought you'd go Tiggy Wiggy just to keep your record.
Nope. I am not. Well, I'd like to say I'm not Michael, but Michael never had a record. He just went for a 1 to 6 shot. But no, I do think. Yeah. Well, unlike yours, I do think Elm Park's a good price tomorrow. I'm not really completely sold on Nafaka, and I think Elm Park could have a bit more left in the locker that we haven't seen. But that's all that we've got time for this evening, guys.
Yep.
You got any other sort of fancies tomorrow at all?
No.
No.
Sorry.
Callum's reply to that is always, nope, I'm going to go home. But thank you to everyone for watching tonight. It's been great fun having you on board. We hope to have you back next week when we are back Friday, just a little bit past 8 PM as we usually are. But thank you for tuning in. Leave any comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. You'll be told about all of our videos. But from everyone here on The Other Hoof, goodbye.